So yesterday we had a mock session, or not a mock session, but like a demo session for ROE, and they had all these questions written that were like example questions. So what I did is that I basically fed these questions into Perplexity and this data set, and I asked it to create questions similar to the ones that were asked, and it basically created it. So I'm just going to solve these questions like they are, asked in ROE and share my process on like how I solved it, how I approached it. So yeah, so that's what I have. And, I have these questions in this separate Google Doc right here. So we're going to use it. And I have this Google Sheet opened, and I'm going to solve, the whole thing in this Google Sheet. And here's like these instructions were released today. And so what it says is that we're going to have, like in the portal, we're going to have dataset link, and we're going to have a question PDF. And so we're going to open the dataset and download it. And we're going to have this PDF question, and probably we're going to download it. So, we would have to import this data set into this Google Sheet that we would be given, and this Google Sheet would be given in our email. Okay, so we would be given an email, and the Google Sheet link would be here, and so we're gonna open it, and then we're gonna have to import the database that we're given into this Google Sheet, and then we're supposed to do the whole solving thing in this Google Sheet. So that's what it is. So I'm just going to close this. And here I'm going to import the data set that I have. So to import it, you just go to the file and import. You can go to upload, and then you can just drag the data set that you downloaded here. Here. So, okay, now it's done. I'm just going to close this. So here's the data set. This sheet is empty because I added the data to those other sheets, okay? Here's the data set, and here are our questions. So first thing we're gonna do, like this whole row is empty, so I'm just gonna delete it. So I'm just gonna go and right click and then delete row. And here everything is kind of like bunched together, so it's not clear. So I'm gonna go and click this, and then I'm gonna increase a column width, and then it would just like increase all the column, like width of all the columns. I can kind of increase it more. Okay. Do the same thing with the second sheet. Okay, so let's read the first question. So it says to calculate the total outstanding loan amount for commercial loans across all quarters. So we're supposed to calculate total outstanding loan amount for commercial loans across all quarters. So first we need to kind of understand where these things are in the data set. First thing is outstanding loan amount. I think we can do one thing is like all of these are written in the row, so we can kind of select all of this and copy it, and then in a new sheet we can go and paste it. And instead of like pasting like this, wait a second, let me undo, and we can actually do a paste special, and we can paste it transposed. So when we do that, it gives us all of these row data, it turns it into column data. So now we can easily kind of search. Here we have outstanding borrowing and what, okay, so outstanding loan amount for commercial loans, I think it's in the next data set. Here it is, outstanding loan amount. And here we have quarters. So it wants us to calculate the total for commercial loans across all quarters. So if we want to do that, like the easiest way to do it is to do it in a pivot sheet. So what we're going to do is we're going to select all the data and we're going to insert pivot table. And then since we want so commercial loans basically, so what we're going to do is we're going to have, okay, so let me look at the fields. Yeah, so commercial loans, it's actually in this column, segment of loan. So what I want is that I want segment of loan in my rows, and this way we would have like these three categories written here. And then we want the outstanding loan amount in the values. And we want it to sum because we want the sum for all quarters, okay? Because it's asking for total outstanding loan amount for all, like across all quarters. So we're just gonna use sum, okay? And so for commercial, it says, you know, this value. So basically this is our answer. So here we're just gonna write it down. So, or maybe let's just write answer and just copy this and then paste it here. And we can also just say like paste values only. And here we're gonna rename the sheet to question 1. Okay, so now we're gonna solve the next question. It says identify which lender has the highest total outstanding loan amount in the dataset for microfinance loans. So you want to find which lender. So there are different lenders here like NBFC, PVT Bank, etc. And we want to find out which lender has the highest total outstanding loan amount. Okay, so we could just use this pivot sheet that we created and we can actually add this lender name in the columns. So what it's gonna do is gonna like write out the loan amount, the outstanding loan amount for all lenders, you know, it's just gonna break it down like this. So what we want is we want the lender with the highest total outstanding loan amount for microfinance loans. So we also have to filter for microfinance. Okay, so here is like the microfinance. If you want the maximum value from this and see which lender it belongs to. So we could do it. So here I'm just gonna write like answer 1 and then I'm gonna find. So one way to find the max of this row is to just write a formula max and then select these three, like these rows here, and it will give me the max value. And max is like this one, and we already know like this is PSU Bank. But if we want to do it with a formula, we can actually just write, okay, let's just not do it with the formula. We already know that this is the maximum value and this value here belongs to PSU Bank. So the answer for this question is just gonna be PSU Bank. Okay, now the second question. Create a scatter plot to visualize the relationship between the original loan size and outstanding loan amount for auto loans. So we want to visualize the relationship between original loan size and outstanding loan amount. So original loan size is here and outstanding loan amount is here. And we want this for like auto loans. So where is auto loans? I don't even know what auto loans means. So here like we have different categories: commercial, microfinance, retail. I don't think that it's, these questions are from this data set. So it's probably not from this. Original loan size and outstanding loan amount for auto loans. What does this auto loan stand for? So, we can also do like a search here. We can go to find and replace in this edit section and write maybe auto loans. And instead of all sheets, we're gonna select this sheet and we're gonna do a find. And it's gonna give me, okay, so auto loans is actually in this category here. Okay, so it's actually a type of loan. We can also do one thing is that, we can freeze this first row so that it's easy to see, auto loans actually belongs to type of loan. Okay, so, we can also just like copy paste this thing. We're gonna create a new sheet and we're gonna like select these columns: original loan size and outstanding loan amount. So original loan size, outstanding loan amount, and we're gonna get this like loan ID too. And we want this type of loan because auto, whatever that, auto loans thing was, it's in this column. So we're gonna select all these 4 columns and then we're just gonna copy and paste it into this sheet. So here it is, and I'm just gonna increase the width. Okay, so if you want to select multiple columns, what you do is you just press Control and then you just select the columns, and this would select multiple columns, and then you just press Control C to copy and then Control V to paste it. So yeah, so now we want to make a scatter plot between like original loan size and outstanding loan amount. But it says, we have to do it only for auto loans. Okay. So, one thing we can do here is that we can create a filter, and then we can filter this type of loan by just auto loan. Okay. So to create a filter, we just go to more and, click this icon. And, actually you have to select the whole sheet. So just select the whole sheet, and then you can create a filter. So now I can just go to type of loan, and then I can clear all selection and only select this auto loans. So now it's going to show me the data only for auto loans. Okay. So now I'm just going to select this. And then I'm going to insert a chart. It's not inserting a chart for some reason. So we're supposed to select a scatter plot. Okay, I can see the chart. Wait a second. So I think instead of, copy pasting it like this, I'm just gonna delete this sheet. I deleted it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna use this sheet, and I'm just gonna insert a filter right here, and then I'm gonna filter by, type of loans. I clear all of the selections and just select auto loans. So here I'm gonna only have data for auto loans, and what I'm gonna do is I am just gonna select the columns, type of loan, and I mean we don't need type of loan here, but we can still take it. Okay, so we need these three, maybe even take loan ID. We don't really need all of these columns. Like we need just these two, and we're just gonna copy the data, and we're gonna insert a new sheet and paste it here, and we're gonna select, paste values only, increase the width of the columns, and here we have this data that is only for auto loans. So now we're gonna select it, and then we're gonna insert a chart, and it already inserted a scatter plot. You don't even need to select it. So yeah, so this is a scatter plot between outstanding loan amount and original loan size. I don't know if, did they really ask this? Okay, so I need to somehow bring it to the top. Anyway, so here we have the scatter plot, original loan size and outstanding loan amount. Yeah, so that's what we have. So I guess this is done. We already have all these things written here correctly. This is original loan size, this is outstanding loan amount, and the title is correct. And there is this outlier, and because of this you have this whole data set, this whole chart is stretched because of this one point. But anyway, we just needed to insert the chart, and we inserted it. So that's it. And we can also just right here to specify that It's only for auto loans. Yeah, so next question. What insights can you derive from the scatter plot regarding loan repayment patterns? Loan repayment patterns? Well, I can't derive any insight. Basically, it's just that we see a linear, like almost linear relationship. And, maybe we can like remove this outlier somehow. I mean, we don't need to do all of this for the exam, right? We can just write the answer here, right here, answer, like there is a linear relationship between loan size and outstanding loan amount. The thing is, I just don't know what this term means. Like, what is outstanding loan amount? I know what loan size means. It's probably just the amount they took the loan for. But I don't know. Outstanding loan amount, maybe it's that, like, maybe when you add interest to the loan, like if you don't pay it. I don't know. Seriously. I guess we can like ask perplexity, but I think like these kinds of questions are probably not gonna asked in ROE, so we're just gonna leave it. Third question, count the number of loans issued by NBFC for the fiscal year FY20 across all segments. So what is this segments thing? First, we're gonna, rename this to question 2. So here we have okay, so my computer is really freezing right now. Here, now we can like remove the filter. You just select all of this and, click these 3 dots and unselect the filter. And here, we remove the filter. And the question says, number of loans issued by NBFC in fiscal year FY20. So here we can like again just insert a pivot table. So select the whole data set and insert a pivot table into a new sheet. Yes, so we want the number of loans issued by NBFC in fiscal year FY20. So let's just like put FY20 in the rows. So yeah, so we want the years in the rows. So here we would have like FY20 here. And we want it for like NBFC, and NBFC, I think it's the name of the lender. So we want the columns to be lender name. Yeah, so we have like lender names here. And in the values, we want to have the number of loans, right? Yeah, we just want the number of loans. So what we're going to do, we're just going to add loan ID. And, here we're supposed to select count or maybe not count. The thing is like loan ID actually it doesn't have a numerical value. We can use count for numerical values, but not for strings. So for strings, we have to select count A. So that's why we have to select count A. And here it gives us like how many loans were issued by NBFC in, FY19, FY20. So we want the count for FY20. So answer is just gonna be okay. So my computer is really just freezing right now. Like it's getting really hot. I don't know what to do about it. So this is just gonna be 263 because in FY20 NBFC like issued 263 loans. Yeah. So now we're gonna rename it to question 3. Yes, and it says filter the dataset to display only loans with borrower age greater than 40 and loan type retail. So basically, I think they wanted us to use filter here instead of a pivot table. Like we can do this by filter too. So here I'm just gonna write like question 3 part 1 so that I can make another sheet for question 3 part 2. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna basically copy paste the whole data set, copy it and then paste it here. It'll paste someday, I think. Yeah, so my computer is getting really slow. So, I found the answer to this question by using a pivot table and it was really easy, but we can also do it by filter. So we can do like we can select the whole data set and then we can go and insert, we can create a filter. And then we wanted like the lender name to be NBFC. So we are going to clear all selections and then just select NBFC and press OK. So here we're going to only have NBFC. Yeah, so we wanted for fiscal year FY20. So we're going to go and in years, we're going to select FY20. So here it has FY20 and it says across all segments. I don't know what segments mean. Okay, so here you have like segments. So I think we just need to like count all of these. Yeah, all the loans issued by NBFC in fiscal year FY20 across all segments. So that means like we can count all of these, commercial, microfinance, retail, like every category. And these are the loans. So we just need to count it. And what we can do is like we can select all of that. So it's a really big data set. So here it's saying like count. If you select all of that, you would see the count right here. It says 263. So you can do it like this using a filter. Anyway, and if you want to like instead of like clicking and dragging everything, you can also press Control, Shift, and the down arrow key, and it would take you to the last value. So this is just a quick shortcut to select the whole row. Sorry, not the row, the column. So now it says like the count 263. So this is like you can also use the filter to find the answer. Here it says, we want to filter the dataset to display only loans with borrower age greater than 40 and loan type retail. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna select all of this and then remove the filter, so it would like bring the dataset back to the original form. And now we can make it like create a filter again. And now we're gonna just filter it by these things. So borrower age should be greater than 40 and loan type should be retail. Okay, so borrower age, we're gonna filter it by, so instead of like selecting all of these values, we can also do filter by condition, and we can write here greater than and 40, and then we can press OK. So it's gonna only show me ages greater than 40. Let's just make sure that it's greater than 40, like it's strictly greater than 40 and not greater than and equal to. Anyway, so yeah, loan type is retail. So we're gonna go and find the loan type. Okay, so I think loan type is actually in this segment of loan. And we're gonna clear all of the selections and only select retail. And so here it is. We filtered it by retail and greater than 40 age, and that's what we were supposed to do. So yeah, we created it. Okay, now the fourth question. So now they are like asking us to create pivot table. Okay, so create a pivot table summarizing the outstanding loan amount by lender name and loan segment. So let's just come here and select the whole data set. It's already selected. Okay, so select it and then insert pivot table in a new sheet. And what do they want? We want outstanding loan amount by lender name and loan segment. So I guess in the values we want outstanding loan amount, and in the rows and columns, so in the rows we can have lender name, and so in the rows we can have lender name, and in the columns we can have segment of loan. I think it was segment. Yes. And in the values we can have the outstanding loan amount. And we don't want, okay, yeah, we want the sum. We don't want the count here because we want to sum it across all categories. So here we created the pivot table, and yeah, it says which loan segment has the highest outstanding loan amount for PSU Bank. So which loan segment has the highest value here for PSU Bank? Okay, so basically we just need to find out in this row, like we don't want to count the total. In this row, which one is the biggest? So we can do it by like using the max function. So do the max and selecting these three cells, and it would give us the maximum. This one is the maximum. And okay, so this is actually in commercial. So the answer is commercial. So commercial segment has the highest loan amount for PSU Bank. Anyway, so my computer is getting really slow now, so I'm just gonna take a break here. I'm going to, do the rest of the questions in a different Google Sheet. I think maybe like that wouldn't slow down everything. So, okay, so let's just like finish these two questions too. I think histogram creation, generate a histogram for the borrower income column for the auto loans. So we want auto loans. Okay, so we want the column auto loans, and we want to make a histogram for borrower income. So yeah, basically we can just create a filter, and then we want this to only show rate. This is not okay. Yeah, type of loan. Anyway, so we have type of loan, and clear all of that and select only auto loans. So it's showing the data only for auto loans. And now we want to create histogram for the borrower income. So here we have borrower income. So what we're going to do, we're just going to select the data from this column, copy it, and then insert a new sheet. And then paste this here. And we can just go to insert and chart. Like it already created the histogram. You can just go and like, if you don't get a histogram chart, you can just go to setup and chart type and just select, histogram from all of these options. So like, you have a column chart, this is the histogram chart, and you can select it and it would show you that. So yeah, so this is borrower income, and wait a second, I think I made a mistake here. I didn't, okay. Well, I think like it's the same thing anyway. Like, I could have just copied another like column, basically this loan ID column too. But we don't really need like loan ID. What we need is that like we just wanted to kind of plot all of the income like in sections, something like that. So we could just do that. What it's going to do is just going to like put things in a bin. So values that are between 0 to this number are going to be in this bin. So like we have maybe 39 of the values here, like 39 of the values are belong to this category, and 17 belongs to this, and 3 belongs to this. And so it created the chart on its own. We didn't need that like loan ID. So yeah, we can also like here we don't have the description for what this column is about, so we're gonna like add it. We're gonna add like go to customize and chart and access titles, and we're gonna add a vertical access title, and we're gonna write count of loans. So here it shows you like what this column is actually about. And we have like histogram of borrower income. We can also kind of change this chart title. And because we're only showing that for auto loans, so I think it's good to specify that this is only histogram of borrower income for auto loans. Okay, so yeah, this is the histogram. And now identify the income range that occurs most frequently. So we're supposed to identify the income range that occurs most frequently. And we can also like change these bin sizes. Like it doesn't have to be from 0 to this weird number. And then, we can actually select the bin size. And I think we can go to customize and series. I think here is like, okay, maybe in histogram. And we can choose the bucket size. And we can see like these numbers are really big. So this is like there are eight and nine. So basically, like, let's just maybe set this to 100,000, sorry, 10,000. And so if we like have the bucket size of 10,000, like it would show all of these really small buckets. So instead of that, we're gonna keep it maybe 100,000. That's not good. So, I put in 1 million and now it's showing, so like 8 buckets. Let me add another 0. Okay, so if I add another 0, then it's only showing 2 buckets, which is not very helpful. I can do 2 million. So 2 million is giving me 4 buckets, and like all of these ones are empty. Like it's not giving me 4, it's giving me all of these buckets, but these are all empty. Anyway, so I can do maybe 2 million something. Did it have like this much? Anyway, I think, okay, let's just have it as 2 million. This is good. And, there's one more thing we could do, but I didn't do it. We can like have this income show as, like, instead of just a number, like we could have it show as, actual currency. So like it would show in dollars, and we could also just remove these decimals, and if we made the chart after having this format as, the currency, we could so anyway, let's just have the bucket size as 2 million like we had before. So here it is. I don't know why it's like it should be showing this, these numbers in the same way like they're written here, but it's not showing it like that. So we can also just so here it's like horizontal axis, and there should be an option to like change the format of how these numbers are showing. It's not in series either. Maybe in histogram. This doesn't help. This is the horizontal axis. We can also change the slant of this, but usually like it doesn't work very well. Anyway, we can like keep it at 30 degrees. Okay, so I can't, okay, here we have the number format for the vertical axis, but we don't see any, I don't know, like for horizontal axis, we don't have a way to kind of change the format. Okay, I think we're not even using column A as labels, but it's still, it's kind of treating it like, you know, we can't even change the format of these numbers. I don't know why. Anyway, so, you know, let's just leave it at this because like we don't have any options anyway. Like I can't find the right options here. So anyway, here we don't have like any label for the vertical axis. So I'm just gonna go to chart and axis titles and customize, and I'm gonna go to vertical axis, and I'm gonna write, you know, count of loans, and that's it. Okay, and what we were supposed to write in the answer was, so which category, like the most number of loans occur, I think. Yeah, so identify the income range that occurs most frequently. So income range, like this one occurs most frequently. So it is from 2 million to 4 million. So we can write like 200, sorry, 2 million. Yeah, that's why I like this, you know, number format here, like set to currency, because here you have like these commas already, so it's really easy to read now. But here it's showing as numbers, and now you have to kind of count the digits. So yeah. Anyway, so we have 2 million, so we're just gonna have 6 zeros here. So 2 million to 4 million. Yeah. So I can add commas myself if I want. Anyway. So yeah, so this is, let's just write income range. Yeah, so this one was question 5. Now, sixth one is compare the average borrower age between loans issued by NBFC and PBT Bank. So, average borrower age between loans issued by NBFC and PBT Bank. Which lender caters to younger borrowers? So, you know, the best way is to just make a pivot table. So here we're just gonna remove this filter, and then like we're gonna select the whole data set and then insert pivot table. And now it's asking to compare the average borrower age between loans issued by NBFC and private bank. So we can have like NBFC and private bank in the row, and then average borrower age as like the, you know, we can have that as the column, I think, or in the values. Anyway, so let's just add the rows. I think it was lender name, and then we're gonna add the borrower age in the values. And we don't want the sum of borrower age, we want the average. So here we're just gonna select the average. So yeah, so here we have average borrower age for like all of these banks. Yeah, so this way you can kind of compare it. It's only saying like compare between NBFC and private bank. So it maybe like we should remove this PSU bank. So to remove it, we can like add filter by lender name, and instead of showing all items, we're gonna remove this like PSU bank. We're only gonna show NBFC and PBT bank. And so now it's gonna show only for these two. And here it's like showing these total. Maybe we don't want total because we can kind of remove this total too if you want, but we don't need to do that. Anyway, so first part of the question is done. And now, which lender caters to younger borrowers? So I guess like we're supposed to compare the borrower age, average borrower age, and then, whichever is smaller, and like the first one is smaller. So that means like NBFC caters to younger age. So we can also like use the min function here. We don't need to do that because we can just look at it, and figure out which one is smaller, but we can still do it if we want. So here minimum is like 41.96, which I already knew. And here we can actually use this function called XLOOKUP. We don't need to do that for this question, but like we can. Anyway, so in XLOOKUP, I want to find like, I have this value 41.96, whatever. So I have this value. I want to find like, the corresponding value in like the corresponding column. So, if I want to do that, so I'm going to write like the value, and then I'm going to select the range where this value comes from. So this value is like in this range, in this column. So I selected that. And then I'm gonna select the corresponding value, the corresponding value, like whichever column the corresponding value is gonna come from, I'm gonna select that column, and that's it. And it's gonna give me, basically it's just telling me that 41.96, the corresponding value in this column is NBFC, and for this like small data set, it doesn't make sense to use this function. But let's say if it had like many rows, then we can use this XLOOKUP function to find like, which lender has, the minimum age, basically. So, it would help with like larger data set, I think. So here we can kind of write our answer is NBFC, and we can rename this sheet to question, I think, was it question, it was question 6, I think. Yes. So we've done 6 questions, and here we have 13. In the ROE, we're going to have 8 questions. So I guess we can do like 2 more. So 7th question is, create a line graph to show the quarterly trend of outstanding loan amount for commercial loans during FY19. So we want to make a line graph, okay? And in this line graph, we want to show the quarterly trend. So, in the x-axis, there should be different quarters, and then y-axis would be loan, like outstanding loan amount. And we want to do this for commercial loans during FY19. So like it's a lot of stuff. So we're just going to use a pivot table because pivot table makes everything really easy. So yeah, like we have this data set selected and we're going to insert a pivot table. And read the question again. We can also just like copy paste the questions, but let's not do it. So here we want the values of like this outstanding loan amount. We want it only for commercial loans during FY19. Okay, so one thing we can do, because we only want outstanding loan amount, so we can just like in the values we can select outstanding loan amount. Okay, I guess you can't do that. Okay, sorry, I added it in like the columns. It gave me the sum of outstanding loan amount. Okay, so we need to also select a row. So it's saying for like commercial loans during FY19. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna have this commercial loan thing in the row. So commercial loan actually comes in, it's a segment of loan. So we're supposed to select in the rows, we're supposed to add the segment of loan here. And we don't need we didn't want the sum of outstanding loans. We wanted to list out all of the, so I did basically, I think we should add in the rows, we want the loan ID. And then basically what it's doing is just like listing out the whole data set. And then we want the values to be outstanding loan amount, and we can have it as the sum. And we want to filter this by commercial loans during FY19. So we want to add two filters. We want type of loan to be commercial. Unselect all of that and only have commercial loans here. And we only want FY19. So in the years, I think, so FY19 only. Okay, so basically we just used the pivot table to filter our data set. We could also do even like the filter in the, in this sheet, we could just add a filter and do the same thing. Like we could just select it and then insert a filter here. And, in the year, we can select FY19. So commercial loans. So in the segment of loan, we can select only commercial. And now we have filtered it. And what we wanted is like the outstanding loan amount. So here we got it. And we could just like copy this whole thing. And we could paste it in a different sheet. Let's just check like if our pivot table got the right, it got the right selection. So here, if I select this whole thing, it gives me the count of 34. So here we have like 34 rows, basically. So in our pivot table, let's see, we have 34. Yeah, so here like 35, and we know that the first row is just the header, so that doesn't count. Yeah, so it means like we kind of filtered everything correctly in our pivot table. So now we have this data. We could just copy it. I don't know why. I think it would be better to just use a filter to instead of a pivot table here. So here I'm just gonna paste values only. And now I'm just gonna select this. Let's just select this column and insert a chart. And we don't want a histogram. We want a line chart. So here we have a line chart. So yeah, okay, so we were supposed to show the quarterly trend of outstanding loan amount for commercial loans during FY19. So I completely forgot about the quarterly thing. Okay, so let's just delete this thing and let's delete these values. Yeah, so I think in the columns we can have, okay, so now I'm confused. So quarterly trend of outstanding loan amount for commercial loans during FY19. Okay, so financial year, basically we want another column that also has the quarters listed. So we can add a column which has quarters. And here we have different quarters and we have grand total here. We don't need the total. We only need the... Okay, so I think like using a filter would be easier. So here, like we have we have filtered it correctly, and now we just want, so here we have quarters listed. So what we can do is like we can just select this column and this outstanding loan amount, and then we can copy it, and then we can just paste it in a new sheet and paste values only. And so we're just gonna plot it. So I'm just gonna use a shortcut to select this whole range and insert chart. And we don't want this, we want a line chart. Yeah, so it's listing it out for like each quarter, and outstanding loan amount is written in this. Okay, so like all of this is like selected correctly. We want to use row 1 as the header and column A as the label. Okay, so like this is all for like from different lenders. that's why like it is all kind of, here you have like quarter one written 4 times and then quarter two, but then you have like quarter two, quarter three. So basically like it's not sorted. So, we can do one thing is that we can kind of sort the whole table according to these quarters. So I can just go like sort A to Z. So now it's sorted. So we have values for quarter one, then quarter two, then quarter three, quarter four. So anyway, I think, yeah, this is like all kind of unsorted. So I'm just gonna delete it. I am gonna delete this. And I'm just gonna copy paste the sorted values. So here, yeah, so now we can add the chart, a line chart. So now it's showing like quarter one, quarter two. I think that this question is in asking for the quarterly trend of outstanding loan amount for commercial loans during FY19. Maybe I think like this is correct because it's showing like outstanding loan amount for quarter one, quarter one here, and then quarter two, and then quarter three, and then quarter four. And we can see like all these fluctuations. So maybe this is correct. I'm not sure. Okay, so we can like these values here are written in like this E form. We don't want it like that. We want it in numbers. So I think, yeah, so here we have, so we can just like, have formatted currency rounded, like we can select this. And here now it's showing kind of better. So I think this is correct. I'm just gonna change the title and write it as, it's not a histogram, it's a line chart of outstanding loan amount for commercial loans in FY19. So this is a really big title. Anyway, I think this is what we were supposed to do. I don't know. So here it says like suggest reasons for fluctuations based on the data set. What could be the reason for this fluctuation? I don't know. Maybe if I also had like some way to tell which, maybe, so maybe it could be like, maybe lender name is, okay, so I don't know, like I don't know what reason could be for this fluctuation. And it's not like we don't have fluctuation based on, yeah, like look at it quarter one at the start we have like really high amount, and then here we have a lower. I don't know, maybe I wasn't supposed to like, instead of doing like quarter one and then listing them out like that, maybe I should have summed it or something. So maybe instead of like here having loan ID in the rows, we should have just had quarters, and then we should have like the sum of outstanding loan amount. Maybe just do this, like select this and make a chart. So you were supposed to like do paste values only. Like here I can't select it. But the thing is like, I don't think you can create a chart using the pivot table, or there's no pivot table. You have to like copy paste the values. So yeah, let's just, here we don't have like the option to select paste values only. So we're gonna like keep it. Okay, let me just undo it and show it again. So you just select this and then paste it here and go to like edit, paste special, and okay, why isn't there a values only option? We have format only option. I don't know. Let's just do this. Yeah, now it's, when I only selected like the middle, when I didn't select the header, then I could do it. Anyway, so we have the data here. We can just delete this. So just select it and then press delete. And here we don't have the header now, so I'm just gonna cut it and paste it here. Anyway, so, and then I'm just gonna add the headers. So it's quarters. And then sum of outstanding loan amount. Now I'm gonna select it and insert a chart. And we don't want a pie chart, we want a line chart. So yeah, here we have this, and I'm just gonna select this thing and it's gonna open this vertical axis. And here we have number format. So here I'm gonna write currency rounded. And here, I don't know why it's showing quarters written here, so I'm just gonna select this. It's gonna open this horizontal axis, and it doesn't have option to. So basically, I think you just need to go to setup, and yeah, we need to use column A as headers, as labels, because we want this to be like considered as labels, and we want to use row 7, this row, as the header. So we're just gonna select that. So now it's showing it right. No, I think this is correct. So yeah, maybe like this is what we were actually supposed to do, and what I did before was completely wrong. And now we can see like this trend that in quarter one, the outstanding loan amounts are really high, but then in quarter three, they go down. Like they keep going down and they reach the minimum to like in quarter three, and then they start rising again in quarter four. So something like that. So maybe like at the start of the year, I don't know what outstanding loan amount is, and that's why I can't really comment on anything. So now like we don't have like any, we don't have any title written for this chart. We need to add the title. These things are important because in ROE, they're going to probably like check whether we properly formatted everything or not. So in chart and axis titles, here we have like chart title. So we're gonna give a title to this chart, line chart of, or maybe you could just like, quarterly trend loan amount. Is the spelling of loan correct? No. Quarterly loan amount, maybe this is good. And then we can have horizontal axis title. And here we're gonna write outstanding loan amount. And in the vertical axis you are supposed to write this. So cut it, and in the vertical axis, outstanding loan amount, and in the horizontal axis, we're gonna write quarters. Okay, so now it looks better. Yeah, we can also like in vertical axis if we want to show a line here, so we can also add it here. Anyway, so we have this, but the question was we need to kind of give reasons for fluctuations based on the data set. And I don't know what outstanding loan amount is. Okay, let's just forget about it and go to the next question. So I'm just gonna label it as like question 7. We have a sheet 7 and I'm gonna delete it. Yeah. So now we are supposed to do gender group analysis for something, and let's just take a break here.